On this week's episode of S'more Geeks, Valiant Comics is bringing the Green Power Ranger to the internet soon in a way that you haven't seen him before.
Game collectors rejoice. Nintendo has a warehouse full of mint everything we love.
We go rogue for one trailer that just came out. Yes, that was terrible. And yes, they say the title of the movie in the trailer. All that and more on this very roguey episode of S'more Geeks.
They are requesting a call sign.
It's, Rogue. Rogue One.
The power that we are dealing with here is immeasurable.
If the Empire has this kind of power, what chance do we have?
Here's how it is.
Hey, you want a s'more?
What?
No, you want a s'more.
What?
You're killing me, Smalls.
Let me see your identification.
Welcome, everybody, to a brand new episode of S'more Geeks. This is episode 107. This is the podcast about all the stuff that's going on in the world of geek, from movies, TV, comic books, video games, and so much more. My name is Chris, and joining me via can and string, stretched out over a great distance, that's my buddy James. James, sir, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Christopher. How are you?
It's good. It's like Stranger Things. We're just talking via a walkie-talkie.
This is the worst. Chris, I'm having great technical difficulties. I hear you perfectly, but there's some issues going on my side. I'm reporting from the eye of Hurricane Matthew. Hope everyone is okay.
James is currently screaming into a computer, which he's not at his home studio. He's reporting live from the eye of the hurricane. James, how are the winds today? Are we doing any better or worse than we were yesterday?
A lot of the same, Chris. When you're inside of the hurricane, you can't really tell any difference either way.
You're just constantly in the eye, right? You're just tracking it. It's the least dramatic.
I'm inside of the Dorothy 2 from Twister.
It's the first Twister reference I think we've made on the show. Well, welcome everybody.
I'm sure we've said that's the same cow before.
That's the same cow. Well, yeah, that's true. Where's the Twister 2? Where's the sequel to Twister for such a movie that made such a big budget? You know what? I bet there's a direct-to-DVD sequel out there somewhere.
I would imagine that is also true.
That is probably true. Well, welcome to the show. We missed last week. Mostly, actually, all my fault. I've been traveling and spent the day yesterday in Austin, Texas, our glorious state capital's traffic. I spent 7 hours in my car in what should have been about a 2-hour round trip. Insane. The only positive thing I can report is I got to listen to Star Wars Ahsoka on audiobook read by the Ashley Eckstein, and it was fantastic. But it's good to be here. Good timing because we got a Rogue One trailer that dropped this morning. I expected a little bit later. We're going to talk about it in the Star Wars section, James, but I really suspect they dropped it as soon as they could this morning so that they could beat the record that was set by the 50 Shades of Grey sequel trailer. That they were like, well, we got to get as much American daylight for this trailer so that we can beat that movie. So I think that's why they did it. But you're not here to talk about 50 Shades of Grey. You're here for the news.
Good news, everyone!
That's good news.
Stories that make us feel happy.
I'm glad you're here to tell us these things.
Now, your tomorrow morning's headlines tonight.
To the Batmobile. Let's go.
All right, so James, last week not last week, but in the last episode, we talked about Valiant Comics and their deal with Sony Pictures, and that they were going to bring the Valiant universe to the big screen, and they were going to start with Harbinger. But in between episode 106 and episode 107, we had New York Comic Con, and Valiant surprised everybody. Now, they dropped some hints leading up to it, but they surprised everybody with a trailer for a web series. So it's not, I mean, I feel like the stigma of a web series is not what it once was. Don't you agree? Like,
I agree to an extent, but I've never really watched a web series, so I can't really
the Mortal Kombat.
I watched Mortal Kombat Legacy. That's the only one I watched. I've watched, and I only watched that after it was out.
Gotcha.
I knew it was happening. I knew everything was going on, but I didn't watch it until it was all over. I watched like the first 2 episodes and was like, okay, I can't take in this content this way. I'm a binger. I can't do the week to week thing.
Right. Well, I got into they released Battlestar Galactica Blood and Chrome as a web series prior to it being released on Blu-ray, and that's something that had a relatively larger budget. I mean, a lot of green screen, a lot of blue screen stuff, but well done, good story, and so I don't really hold it against them. I think it's pretty cool. So what they're doing is they are putting out it's called Ninjak versus the Valiant universe. So basically, it's just giant throwdown of every single with I assume the exception of Harbinger because that's going to go to Sony. But they're putting out this movie, so they put the trailer out, and the statement, and this made sense because I was kind of like, well, why do this? Because you just mentioned you're going to go to Sony and you're going to launch this universe there. And then I read this statement. I was like, okay, that makes a little more sense. It says, in years past, it wasn't uncommon for comic book publishers to prime new fans by expanding into Saturday morning animation or short form programming. Today, that demographic has largely migrated online with the launch of Valiant Digital and soon Ninjak versus the Valiant universe. Valiant will become the first major comic book publisher to create original short-form content for the digital arena, and with it, introduce our characters to one of the most engaged and passionate communities anywhere. So that makes sense. I'm like, okay, well, yeah, if you're going to launch Spider-Man onto TV, warm up the crowd with an animation or, like something that kids can watch Saturday morning. Now, granted, this is not for children because of all the blood, which I just encourage people to go and watch this trailer. There is definite web series stink about it. The production level and stuff and various WWE type level actors, with one exception that got the most buzz that I saw online was that Jason David Frank, the Green Ranger, the original Green Ranger, Tommy. He's Bloodshot in this universe.
Oh, there you go. That's okay. I'm into that.
So yeah, it looks pretty cool. I don't know exactly. It's coming really soon, and this is something that like they went ahead and shot the whole thing. It's ready to rock. It's ready to go. It's going to be coming out really soon, so be looking out for that. I thought that was an interesting thing that came out of New York Comic Con. A bunch of other stuff. They're talking about stuff, and recently, this is kind of breaking before we start talking about PlayStation VR, James. We're going to need to get Jessica on to talk some Potter news in the near future because they just announced, and I'm sorry, my interest level in Fantastic Beasts went down a notch when I just saw that they just greenlit 4 sequels to that movie. Yes.
4 sequels.
Which I was.
So 4 sequels or 4 movies total?
5 movies total. 4
oh my Atlanta.
4 sequels.
Chris, these people have to be stopped.
I want to watch a movie set in that universe and it be that what it is. Like we're getting with Rogue One. It's a one shot. There's no reason why they have to make Fantastic Beasts and where to find them. Oh, they're in a box underneath your cabinet, which is the title for the 5th movie. Just kidding. But I don't, it's sort of like if you can't find your story in one movie, there's something the matter. Not that they're going to be unsuccessful. They'll make tons of money. But James, what else will make a ton of money is PlayStation VR, because I went to the store today after work and no luck.
No dice.
No dice at all. And I know we're recording this on launch day, so there's absolutely no way, James, with the busy lives and professional, work that we do, that you've actually had some hands-on time. But James, can you at least confirm, has it been delivered? Do you have it?
I have it in my possession. Along with it, I have the charging stand, not for the headset, but for the Move controllers, but it has a nice little display of the headset, way to display the headset. Pretty excited about that. I've got a few games over here. I've got Until Dawn Rush of Blood. I've got Drive Club VR, which 2 sites that I've read, I may be sending that one back because 2 sites that I've read said that they could not review this game because it made everyone on their staff motion sickness. So that one might get sent back. I've been doing, before opening the box, I've been doing rigorous research on the internet to make sure that everyone is saying that it has a lazy eye or is amblyopic, that VR was able to work for them and it was not insanely jarring or anything like that. So I think I'm going to be okay on that front.
Good.
You know, I've got the Batman VR experience. I'm pretty excited about that.
You went all in. Like,
yeah,
This isn't just like, let me just try this
well,
out. This is those are.
We can reel in just a little bit.
Okay.
Each one of those games was $20. So these aren't
full.
Yeah, all the games are pretty cheap, relatively cheap.
That's fantastic. And there's like what I'm reading, there's 30 games at launch, and 20 more coming.
And I think the biggest one, or the longest game out right now, as far as a story-driven game, is that Until Dawn: Rush of Blood. It's coming in right at 6 hours. So
okay, and that's still $20.
And it is a $20 game, on-rail shooter. I also got PlayStation VR Worlds, which has all of the tech demos they were showing everybody. I'm pretty excited that Resident Evil 7's demo is now getting VR support, so I'm going to try that out. I will have all of this tested and able to report back to you in your lovely ears next week with a better microphone, so I don't have to yell at you.
That's fantastic. One of the things I was reading, and I didn't realize this. It's one of the features. It's not really a feature, but I didn't exactly understand, I guess, the setup or how this connected to the PlayStation. Apparently, and I'm reading articles right before we went on the air, that people are able to plug their pretty much anything into this thing, because you just plug the HDMI from the like from your Xbox or whatever. Now, granted, it does none of the head tracking or any of the other stuff, but you could plug in your Apple TV for some reason. And
has that been confirmed?
Yes. So I was reading on. I think I still have this pulled up. Let's see who was saying that. Business Insider. Apparently, the new PlayStation 4 VR headset also works with Xbox One.
Interesting. That's actually really cool. I did not know that.
I mean, it just essentially turns it into just a video display. There's no head tracking.
Right.
You could lay in bed and play or something.
It turns it on to cinema mode,
which I have a question about, because I can't find this, and I assume this works, but in cinema mode, maybe just because you've done more research because you've bought it, but I want to be able to put in
I don't educated purchase this.
Yeah, like I want to plug in like a 3D Blu-ray into it and watch it on the headset.
I have no clue.
God, like that's one answer.
Well, I don't think that would work, because the way that this produces 3D and the way that a TV produces 3D are two completely different things.
Well,
right?
No, kind of.
Well, because of the way.
Well, let me explain how 3D works on a Blu-ray. So the file that's on the Blu-ray is actually a very large image split in half. So there's actually it's called side by side, and so you have like a video image on one side and a video image on the other side, and then the TV interprets that signal and interpolates it and does all its magic actually on the TV.
Right.
So I think theoretically, because on my phone I've been able to, like with one of those Google Cardboard things, load a side by side video up and watch that through one of those.
I mean, I think it would all depend on how PlayStation VR accepts that signal, but
true.
The way that it interprets anything that is not a VR title is everything's one screen. It doesn't split to each eye.
Bah.
My understanding.
Okay.
So I don't believe that would work. I think you would just have a very blurry picture.
Okay, that's depressing. I would actually be okay with like being able to watch a movie and feel like I'm in a movie theater. Where you can,
I mean, I think that's what this would do.
Okay. But why can't it be 3D?
Because of the way that 3D is interpreted between VR and I think that if you're doing that, it would output to a TV, right? And the way that it outputs to a TV and your TV interprets that signal is very different, or I guess would be the same as the way that the VR would interpret it.
Yeah.
Therefore, without another layer of the glasses that would be working.
I guess so.
You know,
you're being ridiculous, James. This is not what I want to hear.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I apologize.
And unfortunately, I can't ask you to play a 3D Blu-ray on yours because I'm sure you don't own any 3D Blu-ray because that's not anything you're.
I do not own a 3D Blu-ray. I don't own a 3D television. 3D is dead to me, and I'm glad it's pretty much dead to everyone else.
I'll have to bring one with me just to test it out next time I'm able to drop by because I want to test drive it. I was so excited to jump right in and spend the money, but then I've kind of reallocated the money that I was going to use, and I'm thinking I want a new podcast computer and stuff that I can work more and do some more video work with. So that kind of took over. Plus, just birthdays and spending money on other people and just trying to get all that. So I want to test drive it before I do. And I definitely do not want to go to like some GameStop and just try it on, or if they have any demos set up, because pink eye. So James, episode 108, I expect a full James Kelly review, full of the best and the worst and in soapboxes and whatever else that you can bring to the table.
We'll have a vomit meter. How many times I vomit?
Yes, please. Can you live Twitch this, but not the actual feed, but can you just like let people watch you as you wear this headset?
So if you do live stream it, you can stream. It would be streaming what people see on your television, which is actually what you would see in cinema mode. So it does a 2D image, flat screen image. It's not split up into two images like a Google Cardboard would be.
Okay.
It's just one flat image, and so if you stream, it's just like I was playing any other game, actually. So
but can we see you? Can we? Would we be able to see you with the headset on? That's fantastic. I bet if I jump on the PlayStation right now and hit up like the live area, there's got to be somebody doing this. Well, let's talk about Nintendo, because they've got a console coming out next year, and you wouldn't know it because they're not talking about it. But Nintendo did something that caught the internet's attention recently. Nintendo just unboxed a 30-year-old Famicom computer, which was the Japanese Nintendo Entertainment System, if you don't know. I feel like they could legitimately make some good money if they just opened up their warehouse that they showed off, because to celebrate the anniversary of The Legend of Zelda, Nintendo's Japanese site recently posted a number of photos of inside this company's storage room. And that may not sound super exciting, James, but a lot of people on the internet are freaking out because it's just boxes and boxes of the original Famicom in the boxes, mint, perfect condition, like as if you were to have walked into a store back in the 80s and bought it. They have a number of these, and I can't imagine what these would sell for. They also have the Famicom Disk System, so they're showing off playing Legend of Zelda. They also showed off this. I don't understand what it was, James. Maybe you know what this is, but apparently it was some sort of like kiosk, and you brought your disc with you, and you plugged it in, you picked your game, and it loaded the game onto the disc.
Yeah, so that was a thing. It was essentially in like Japanese versions of Blockbuster for the disc drive. It didn't blow up, but essentially that was how you rented a game. Is you took this disc, you plugged it into the machine, you said what game you wanted, and then you took the disc out, and that's essentially how you rented games then. It's
kind of cool. I feel like if the internet never existed, in a high speed type of way, a red box right now, you would walk up and you would stick your USB drive into it and it would load.
It's like how you would do it when Total Recall came out.
Yes. Yes, if Total Recall was an accurate reflection of the future as it is right now, that's true. I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, I really like seeing old stuff being unboxed, especially when it's brand new. There's something about it. I don't understand it. It's sort of like the Spider-Man Elsa videos. Unboxing videos are I don't understand why, and I don't understand the psychology behind it, because I'm not getting what's inside of it. Watching somebody else unbox Star Wars toys, which I didn't actually get to talk about. We recorded the show on Force Friday for the last episode, and didn't get to talk about what I got. We'll dive into that in the Star Wars update.
There has been an awakening. Have you felt it?
Hold of this moment. The force is strong.
Make 10 men feel like 100.
We'll take the next chance. And the next. You're rebels, aren't you?
Save the rebellion! Save the dream!
So, unfortunately, Chris, Disney has received a fine on one of their production companies. It could be crippling to the Disney empire.
Oh no! So this is, no more Star Wars. So much. So they have to pay so much money.
Yes, it's way too much money. They actually received a 1.6 million. You heard me correct. $1 million or £1 million fee for breaching safety regulations after Harrison Ford broke his leg on the set of Star Wars: Force Awakens. A British court levied the fine on Wednesday against Boodles Production Limited after the company had previously admitted 2 health and safety breaches, oversights that resulted in Ford being struck by a hydraulic door that fractured the tibia and fibula bones in his left leg, pinned him against the floor by his pelvis, and left a deep cut in his hand. This could be the end of Star Wars as we know it.
There's
I
no
don't know how they're going to scrounge up the money to pay this fee. It seems like
it's the end.
British just they put on their red coats and they put the band hammer down on Disney.
I tell you what, if Rogue One doesn't do well, that's it. And it's
One,
not any more Star Wars. It's no more Disney. Period. That's just crippling.
It's gonna be. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how they rebound.
It was funny. I was reading the full story on this and talking about how in the 70s the way the doors worked. It was all a rope and pulley system, and you pulled it up and they let it down, and then they would just speed up the film to make the door look like it closed faster. But now with all this technology, they could make a door that opened and closed nearly instantaneously. They said the pressure of this door was like having a car fall on you.
Well, they probably do need some safety regulations. That's the case.
Absolutely. I was actually, this makes sense because, we knew this was a big deal. It shut production down on the movie for 2 weeks as they restructured around, Harrison's injury and all that. But when you watch the making of Star Wars, the Force Awakens documentary that's on the Blu-ray, which is really great, but there is no mention of this. And it's funny because, well, it's to me, I was like, well, I get it. It's not really a fun story, but I guess because they still had pending litigation, they had to work out. They couldn't show anything. They couldn't put any of this on the Blu-ray because on the Phantom Menace special feature, which was called The Beginning, which is a fantastic feature-length documentary about the making of that film, you see all the stuff that went wrong, the sandstorms and stuff that messed up all the pod racer engines and all of that. And the one we got was mostly just PR fluff to some degree on that Blu-ray. But Harrison Ford is doing well, and the internet's going crazy about why Harrison Ford, Rey, and Finn is in our no shows in a new trailer that just came out. To which the internet screamed back at them, this takes place before episode 4, and there are no boffins. James, let's talk about Rogue One, but before I do, Internet, I am disappointed in you for 2 reasons. I'm pulling up my soapbox here. James will be ready. Talk me down.
I'm ready. I'm not going to talk you down. I like to get on a soapbox.
Okay.
So let's keep going.
There are 2 types of people right now that have me upset. And these are non-political types of people. That is a whole different topic of conversation. Number 1, on the Star Wars YouTube video of this thing. Now, granted, YouTube commenters are generally the worst of the worst and all of that. So I want to say that some of the comments that I read are being sarcastic, slightly trolling, but I also agree that I also believe that a lot of them are genuine. There are comments about this trailer about asking, where is Finn? Why does Rey look so different? Why is Vader in this movie? Another one was, another Death Star? I have an idea. Why don't they blow up the Death Star factory next time so that there can be no more Death Stars?
Interesting. That person's very witty. They've actually disabled comments on the Star Wars version of this video. I can tell.
Interesting.
So,
okay.
There are no more trolls. Unfortunately, you got the best of it.
I got some good screenshots.
But the guy that said that they should blow up the Death Star factory.
I feel like that one was being a joke.
Death Stars.
Yeah.
That guy's got a future in just real slapstick comedy.
Just great.
Really good.
Great stuff.
We got that off of like page 3 of the upvoted comments on Reddit. I'm happy for him. I'm sure his family's happy for him.
They're very proud.
But he's dumb. So, yeah, I don't know. This trailer it's good. It definitely makes you know that you are getting one full story. You can tell what's going on. You're getting episode 4 in a trailer, and then the movie is going to be, more of the conclusion part. I feel like most of what happened in this trailer happens in the first 30 minutes, 40 minutes of the movie, probably.
Oh, I don't think so.
No?
I think they showed there's some stuff. Okay, so let me just give a real quick overview of what we saw in a bullet point type fashion, because what we saw at the very beginning, which I'm going to make these aren't predictions necessarily, but I really think, because we're seeing a flashback of what happened prior to the events of Rogue One, really, I think the movie is going to start off with Lucasfilm Limited, some sort of quote or some sort of thing, a title card that gives some reference to the time period. My actual thought is that there's going to be some quote that will be made up that will be from the Journey of the Whills, which is a fictitious Bible-y kind of book that exists in the Star Wars universe. And then it'll say, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. I don't think that we're going to get a crawl. I think it's going to go a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And then it's going to pan down. We're going to see that next shot. We're basically going to jump right into that flashback sequence. And we're going to see... I think we need one. Here's the thing that I can't figure out. If the movie starts off with a crawl, it needs to have a thing that says Star Wars that pops in, because they need to keep... If you're going to do the crawl, you got to do it all the way. It has to say Star Wars. It has to say, all this stuff. So does it say, okay, the more I think about it, the more it may still have it. Where it says Star Wars, and then at the top of the crawl, it says Rogue One. Even though I know that's not the title they're using in marketing, there's some stuff I'm struggling with. I think that they need something that says, hey guys, this stuff takes place before A New Hope.
Right.
Because the marketing sure isn't telling you that.
No, I think the only thing that really tells you that is the fact that the Star Destroyer, or the Death Star, is full. It's a circle.
Right.
It is not a half circle. It's not being built, really. It's on the final touches. I think the fact that Darth Vader is in it kind of helped you reel that in. And you're seeing a lot of the classic Stormtroopers.
Right.
That's the only thing in the marketing that is really telling you when this movie takes place. But then again, I mean, on the same token, how do you even go about introducing that in a 2.5-minute trailer? Like, are the first 5 seconds before A New Hope, and then it starts?
I would think so. I've thought about this. In my head, I've put together a TV spot that says "Before the Awakening." And it shows a bit of Rey. It says before the Return, like something like that with like Luke. Where it shows like visually before this.
But then does it go? But after this?
No,
Tate Christensen. Like,
you're right.
There's already been stuff before that. So how long before that?
But here's the thing.
Rely on the things that I just pointed out as being your compass from there.
Right. In the crawler, they can't say this takes place before this happens because it takes place in that crawl kind of exists in universe. So it can't say we've diverged. This is not in the trailer at all. But I think that what we saw is the beginning of this trailer. I want to say is the beginning of the movie. We've got, I think they torch Jyn Erso's house because we've seen a shot of it on fire from one of the very first trailer. And then we get the title and then we jump into she's held captive. She did some sort of crazy thing with Saw Gerrera. The rebels heard about it. They rescue her, but they're still unsure. They bring her in. We've seen this in the trailer. We got some new shots from Mon Mothma, on the Yavin 4 base. So we know that the genesis of the story really takes place there. It's sort of like we need to go do this. Then we go to Jedha, which is the desert-y planet. Great shot. The thing that stood out to me, and I missed it the very first time I watched this, because I literally rolled out of bed and jumped on Facebook just to see if it had leaked, been released, and it was. And so I went into the living room, watched it on the TV one time. And I got to say, the first time I watched it, I didn't get the Star Wars-y, the feels, but I also contribute that to no caffeine and I just woke up. Because on some repeat viewings, there's some moments that I got the connection, but I feel like it should have got me the first time.
Well, I think that I think the other Star Wars movies are part of a saga, so they have this kind of slow, kind of draw feel to them, like in the trailers, and not so much with Force Awakens, not so much the last trailer that came out. That one was much more in your face,
right?
But I think this one is just a little more up tempo because they are fitting a full open and closed story. You see clips of Jen when she was a child in here, and I think you're getting a more full-fledged story here, or a one-shot story, not a full-on, here's a part of a story.
Right. This is a beginning, middle, and end, 3-act, boom, you're done. And that's the reason why I say that in this trailer we saw essentially a bit from every act of the movie.
Now upon rewatching it, I can see it now.
Because here's how I see it plays out. You go to Yavin 4. Yavin 4 is the genesis of your thing. You go to Jedha because you got to go see Saw Gerrera. And Saw Gerrera is like, no, I can't. Whatever. She tries to make an impassioned plea to him. He's not having it. They recruit Chirrut and Baze and at the same time get Bodhi. And then they go off and they're, then they go to that. I don't know how to pronounce the next planet, but it's the one we see in the nighttime, and it's got the mountains and the rains, like Edu or Edo or something like that. There's a battle that happens there. There's some sort of Imperial installation that they have to sneak into to find out some more information, and there's like a space battle that happens to divert attention while Jyn, Cassian, and K2SO go in to find out that information. They realize that the Death Star is being built outside of Scarif. They go to Scarif, and this is the beach planet, and this is where the big final battle happens with the walkers and Jyn and them stealing the Death Star plans, and then them finally being able to transmit it to Princess Leia, and everyone dies. The end. Darth Vader is really pissed at Orson Krennic and kills him.
Well,
that's all in the movie. That's all in the trailer. If you really watch the trailer, it's all really pretty much in there.
Right.
So sorry to spoil the movie, everybody, but I mean, I'm just making this up, but so it's not really a spoiler. But looking at the trailer, and I kind of dissected it, and in fact, I loaded all of the trailers into my video editing software and started splitting up all the clips and then sorting them by the setting, and then trying to place them in a chronological order or looking at it in some context. And it was like, well, this seems like where the movie is headed, because I can't have nice things. I have to spoil things for myself.
And everyone else.
Well, they're listening to the show, so they knew we were going to talk about the trailer, and this is what you get, folks.
What about me, Chris? What about me?
James, you
never think about me.
For being in the 5th season of a podcast, I think you know what you're in for.
I guess.
Yeah. Here's some things that, James, I want to know from you, though, what didn't work when watching this, things that you just didn't connect or just didn't seem... Because I've got a couple from me, and I'm assuming that there's got to be something for you that when you watch it just didn't click.
I mean, the number one thing that just didn't click is, like you said in the beginning, I don't think it has that same Star Wars-y feel the other ones have. I think that the one thing that I don't like about this movie so far is the number of characters that it's introducing. Star Wars has always been kind of a small... As far as your main characters, you had, like 4, 5, or 6, yeah. And now this one's got like 20 that it's throwing in there, and all the characters have sidekicks, and it's like a little weird. I think
the more I bet when we actually get into this movie, we're really left with Cassian Andor, Jyn Erso, and K2SO. I think the majority of the action will have them, and you'll have Orson Krennic being the bad guy. You'll have these other guys being kind of the Wedge Antilles of the Rogue One universe.
Right.
Though I have more of a role than Wedge Antilles, and just look at the size of that thing. Like, Baze and Chirrut will have a significant role, and then Bodhi will have some moments. But there's a bunch of other characters that they're making a big deal out of, so they can sell action figures up. Just to be honest,
there's just not enough of the little furry looking guy in here that you saw.
There's zero. Yeah, there's
any of him.
I know, and you want to sell that guy's action figure? Come on, I mean, he was in the sizzle reel, but he's not in this thing. Hasbro's freaking out, looking at it and going, "Well, where's Pow and where's what's his face?" I have the figure, I can't remember his name.
Sell 9,000 Darth Vader.
Oh my! And there's not even one on the shelf. There's a large Darth Vader electric figure that's like 20, but it's really a Star Wars Rebels figure. There is no 3 3/4 inch Star Wars Darth Vader figure on the shelves right now. There is one coming, and I'm assuming they've kept it in stock so that when a movie comes out, kids can go buy it. But as of right now, there's not one that's been released. What did not work for me, James, you mentioned it didn't have that. There was something not Star Wars-y about it, despite the fact that you've got original trilogy stormtroopers and AT-STs and Star Destroyers and Death Stars and Darth Vader. The music, it's not the music of Star Wars. This trailer, you can watch it and if you don't know it's Star Wars, the music should tell you this. There's as Rebel Force Radio and Star Wars Oxygen calls it, John Williams is the oxygen of the Star Wars universe. It gives it life. It lets it breathe. There's maybe hints to the Star Wars-y stuff, and I know that's definitely temp track. That's just trailer music that they pulled off the shelf. But when you watch the Force Awakens trailer, there's a moment that universally, when you watch reaction videos on YouTube, where it's like the goosebump moment. It's the Falcon and it's flying, and it's Han and Leia's theme, and it's just like, there it is. This is Star Wars. Listening to that music, looking at that ship. Boom, connection made. This is Star Wars, and they didn't have to do anything else than just that. The trailer is missing the John Williams themes. Now, we're not getting John Williams, but we're getting very close with Michael Giacchino. And I'm sure, just like he did with Jurassic World, we'll bring in those familiar themes. And I'm hoping some new stuff that will really have that same hummability, that you can just quickly identify as, oh, this is from Rogue One. I think that's pretty great. The other thing that didn't work for me, there's a simple shot. It's Chirrut Imwe and that's Donnie Yen's character. They're on the U-wing transport, and he makes a face, and he looks upwards, and he hits his staff against the floor. I have yet to really have a moment with either Baze or Chirrut that I haven't thought something's not right. Whether it's the delivery of the line, the writing, or something, they're not quite yet there for me yet, I guess. I can't exactly explain what that is necessarily.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're just super complex characters.
And it's not the accent, because I think Cassian Andor, Diego Luna is bringing his full on, he's a Mexican-born actor. He's English is not his first language. He is, has this, he's got an accent, but it for some reason, his lines and the way what lines they've used for the trailer have worked. But, at least, Donnie Yen in his fighting stuff is going to be spectacular, and maybe that will win me over. But that didn't work. The music didn't work for me. And again, it's come on, Disney, do something that says this is before A New Hope. There's a YouTube video. I think it's called the Rogue One Super Trailer, but there's a ton of fan cuts that are called that too. And it starts off with this really great video shot, and it shows kind of some of the action sequences in Rogue One. Then it ends up with Luke, and it says, it shows him, shooting the proton torpedoes into the Death Star, and then before it explodes, and then everything rewinds really fast, the stuff. Have you seen this?
I have not, but I don't know. As far as the whole, I'm trying to think of a way you could do it, and if you don't already know by watching these trailers that it happened before A New Hope, I don't know if you care, right? Or I don't know if there's any way to convey that it's before A New Hope if you can't see this and know that. Right?
Right.
It has Darth Vader. It has a full Death Star. It doesn't have Luke Skywalker. I mean,
you're right.
I just don't know how else that they could possibly. Right?
And I'm sure, this is us speaking with no knowledge, and we're not part of Disney's marketing. I'm assuming they've done massive focus group testing with their trailers, and asking questions like, do you, after watching this trailer, do you know, put a little dot next to what movie this happens before or after, and that, enough people get it.
Yeah.
You're probably right. Some of the other stuff that really stood out to me, I'm starting to really like the U-wing and its design and look. The one, there's a line that Cassian Andor says. He says, make 10 men feel like 100 or look like 100 or something like that. Where it's almost like he's either talking about what the Jedi were like, or he's talking about, Jen, you're about to give this speech. Make them feel like they're 100 people. Make this group of 10 people feel like 100. Give them some more hope. And that line really worked for me. Also, K2SO is still my favorite thing about this whole thing, so totally digging that. Anything else stand out for you in this trailer, James?
Not for me. I think we hit it all.
Okay, good deal. This was I think it's a fantastic trailer. This is most likely the very last trailer we get, which in a day we'll get an international trailer that will have Darth Vader swinging his lightsaber. I actually think that we're going to get that. I think the international trailer is going to spoil something big. So I'm kind of at that point, like we were back when The Force Awakens was about to come out. Should I just stop? Can I even stop? I don't know.
Stuff we like.
Shut up and take my money.
All right, it's time for Stuff We Like, and it's more Star Wars from me, James. I had a bit of a road trip last week because we had no show, and I took the time to listen to Star Wars Lost Stars, which I've heard so much good things about, and wanted to, get this story as it's part of the Star Wars canon. And all I knew about it, honestly, I didn't know too much about it. One, I knew that everybody really liked it. I thought it was a story about, two young people fall in love, end up on both sides of the war. You got someone who's a rebel and someone who's an Imperial. What I didn't know was how fantastic this story was going to be, and that it's almost in a way a parallel story to the events of the original trilogy. So while we're experiencing all of the big moments from the original trilogy from these two people's point of view, from the rebel side and from the Imperial side. It's fantastic. This really, honestly, could have been a really great Star Wars story to be able to, almost bring up all the nostalgia from the original trilogy crowd, but be able to show us different points of view from the Battle of Yavin to the, Battle of Hoth and Endor and all this stuff. It would have been really cool. And then it ends up with the Battle of Jakku. So there's no spoilers in there because that's basically what's on the back cover, and the graphic on the front shows the Star Destroyer that's crashing on Jakku. So there you have it. Star Wars Lost Stars. I got it on Audible, and you should too. James, what about you?
Well, Chris, I've been saving money for PlayStation VR, so I haven't spent much money on anything, but I assume that PlayStation VR will be good enough for 2 weeks worth of stuff we like, so I'm going to leave it there.
I think we'll let you have that one. You can have 2 weeks worth of stuff we like out of PlayStation VR. I'm a little jealous, James. I will definitely make my way up there sometime in the holiday season. So give a chance to play around with that thing as well.
Sounds good to me.
All right, well, that about does it here for the show. Make sure that you go to our Facebook page, click that like button, and share our show post when that gets posted. In future episodes, we've got some more codes to give away, and the way to earn them is to click the share button and share us with your friends. Another great way of spreading the word about S'more Geeks is going to the iTunes store and giving us a review, 5 stars, make it good, and that helps us and helps other fans like yourself find shows like us. Also, just as a shout out, because we got a shout out on last week's episode, James, we've been called to come on the Love That Show podcast, basically bring Movie Crash and do Serenity, because they're about to wrap up Firefly. So I think that we can schedule around that. I did say, though, however, that before we do that, they need to promise to do an episode of Sequest. So
I think we can make that happen.
Okay, we'll make that work. Your people get in touch with our people, and we'll figure out all the stuff there. You can follow us also on Twitter at S'more Geeks. And stay excellent to each other, and we'll see you next time.
It's VR Troopers! Brian Steele, Caitlin Starr, J.V. Reese team up to battle the treacherous Darkheart. He attacks in the Skyborg jet, firing a mega missile.
Oh, brutal.
But he's no match for the Troopers. Armored up, they soar in on the VR Turbo Cycle.
Totally virtual.
Team up with the Troopers, Saban's VR Troopers, each sold separately.
Look at that. Put it in the can.
Boom, done, in the can. Get yourself a better microphone next time.
Yep, I'll do my best.
That's the sound. Do you hear that? It's the sound of thousands of people unsubscribing. Subscribing. Subscribing.